There we go. Oh, yes. Favorite saying of the 2020s? Unmute yourself. Right. Well, today the talk is about the principle of prosperity. And I'm sure you could tell from the song that just let us in that, sometimes when we think about prosperity, we really do think that it's money. And although that's an aspect of it, pardon me, it's definitely not all of it. So Ernest Holmes wrote in The Science of Mind that the definition of prosperity is the outpicturing of substance in our affairs. Everything in the universe is for us. Nothing is against us. And we must know that everywhere we go, we meet friendship, love, human interest, and helpfulness. Life is ever giving of itself. We must receive, utilize, and extend the gift. Success and prosperity are spiritual attributes belonging to all people, but not necessarily used by all people. See, there's a power in the universe and we are using it, but how are we using it? Are we using it, in a way that expands the good that's in our life and experience, or are we using it in a way that diminishes our capabilities? On page 282 of The Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes wrote, "Stay with the one and never deviate from it." And the one, of course, we're talking about is spirit. We're talking about the universe. Never leave it for a moment. See, the minute we come to recognize that there's only one thing going on in the universe and that we are some part of it, we start to realize that the aspects of it are within us. And so if it's powerful, we are powerful. If it's filled with possibility and potential, we are filled with possibility and potential. So we want to pay attention. And he says, nothing else can equal this attitude. Nothing. And he goes on to say, and this is on the bottom of page 282, to desert the truth in the hour of need is to prove that we do not know the truth. Wow. Because isn't it right? I mean, sometimes when things get hard, we immediately go into the hard place rather than going into the awakened place. But we're always at choice about that. So he goes on to say, when things look the worst, that is the supreme moment to demonstrate to ourselves that there are no obstructions to the operation of truth. All right. No obstructions. We talk often about the things that are working in our lives and the things that appear not to be working. And what I want to suggest to you is everything is working. And what I mean by that is that everything is working according to the consciousness that we possess. It's that simple. So if I, pardon me, I'm so sorry. If I believe and have faith in the idea of prosperity, that there's infinite abundance, that all that I need is always available, that whatever is necessary for the fulfillment of my life is ready right where I am. If I'm living in that idea and in that truth, then that becomes the activity of my existence. But a lot of times we look at, the bill that just came in and we go, oh no, not another one. What is our belief in? That's an expression of fear. So our belief would be in lack, limitation, not enoughness. And I think sometimes as we go through this life journey, there's a part of us that doesn't think we are enough. And so we're striving to try to fit in. We're striving to be the right person for the one we've fallen in love with. We're striving to make people like us, or any number of things. What are we striving for? But what if instead we were striving for a deeper connection with spirit? Imagine what it would be like, if we really accepted that there is only this one. Well, We are surrounded by, he wrote, we are surrounded by a universal subjectivity, a subjective creative consciousness, which is receptive, neutral, impersonal, always receiving the impress, always receiving the impress of our thought, and which has no alternative other than to operate directly upon it, thus creating the things which we think. Now, I want you to think for a moment that whatever area you've been working on in your life, because prosperity to me is being able to, do what I want, have what I want, live the life I want, and to do it all harmoniously. So, doing it all in the manner that I choose, right? That to me would be full on prosperity. So, when we're looking at prosperity, we're not talking about money. And we are talking about money. And we're talking about friendship. And we're talking about love. And we're talking about joy and well being. And we're talking about health. We're talking about a career that satisfies and uplifts us. We're talking about a lot of things. And money is a part of that. And it seems like in our society, we've put a little extra energy on the idea of money in the form of limitation. You see, we believe somehow deep within, many of us, that there is a limited amount of money. And so we better get ours, right? Better get our little piece of that. But what if there's no limits? What if the idea of limits is a fabrication? Yeah. What if the idea of lack is a fabrication of our imagination? See, we live in a world where, what we believe is what we experience. So I want to ask you, what do you believe about prosperity? Think about it. What do you believe about prosperity? Do you believe that all that you have need of in any given moment is always looked after? Do you believe that? Do you believe that there's only so much to go around? The rich get richer, the poor get poorer? Do you believe any of those things? And you might recognize if you have a belief about that, because something, when I said those words, triggered a little emotional reaction within you. What was that reaction? Was it a yeah? Or was it a, man, I'm struggling? What is that overall feeling? What is going on for you? What is happening within you? What is drawing your attention? Is it for greater and greater good, or is it for limitation? And are you fighting for that limitation? Because we do that sometimes, don't we? I remember many years ago when I was really struggling financially, and a friend of mine who happened to be quite wealthy phoned me up and said, "Hey, you want to go for a coffee?" And I said, "Actually, I can't go for coffee right now." And this person was a little upset with me. And I said, "I just don't have any cash today. I don't have any money, so I can't go." And the person went, "Oh, okay," and then hung up and went on and probably asked somebody else. And at the time, I was really upset about that. I thought, why would you ask me when you already know my circumstances? And if you are going to ask and you think it's a good idea, couldn't you offer to buy me a coffee? All of these things going on inside of me. And where were they all coming from? Lack, lack, lack. See, I had faith. I had a lot of faith. I had faith in lack. That's what my faith was in, lack. And so how do we shift that faith in lack to the faith in abundance? And it really is a process that we go through to undo the conditioning that we've received throughout our life experience, to begin to come up with a new idea, pardon me, one that is more in alignment with where we really want to be, where we really want to go. So think again about what Ernest Holmes said. We are surrounded by a universal subjectivity, a subjective creative consciousness which is receptive, neutral, impersonal, always receiving the impress of our thought, and which has no alternative other than to operate directly upon it, thus creating the things which we think. So you can imagine what my life was like when all the time I'm fighting for my limitations. I'm fighting for my limitations right inside of me. I'm like, well, I don't have enough. There isn't enough. And I was fighting for that until I wasn't. The journey that we're on is really about waking up to where we are and knowing that we can start right here to create something new, something bigger, brighter, better. And it doesn't happen magically, instantaneously, although it could. It generally doesn't, because we sort of go through a bit of a process of evolution, a process of change. He goes on to write, each one of us should realize that there is nothing in us that denies what we desire. There's nothing that would deny what we desire. Our unity with the good is not established while there is anything in us that denies it. So if there's something inside of me that says, oh, I'm not enough, or oh, what am I thinking? Oh, I couldn't do that. Oh, that's not for me. What I've done is I've said no to any good coming my way. But if instead I go, well, I know that the universe, divine spirit, universal mind, it's all right here. And it's all operating according to my thinking. So what am I thinking about? Am I thinking about love and joy and peace and prosperity in life? Or am I thinking about, oh no, another bill came in. Oh no, I don't like this person. What am I thinking about? Pardon me. Yes, a little bit of a residual from my cold that I had 2 weeks ago. So sometimes people will say, well, how shall I know? How shall I know when I know? Well, if you knew, you would not ask that question, right? If you knew, the very fact that you ask it proves that you do not know. For when you know there's nothing to prove, there's nothing to ask. So let's think about how this works. We have a thought. That thought is a force that is moving mind into motion. We're going from the conscious thought into the subjective, and there, whatever we believe to be true will be manifest. So if we want to know what we believe, just take a look around. Look around your life. Look around what's going on around you. Are you noticing things that are out of alignment? Are you noticing things that you wish were different? Are you in a situation that's making you uncomfortable or fearful? We have the power to change that. But the way we change it is within ourselves. Can't change it out here. It's not possible. So we go within ourselves and we check in. What am I believing about life? What's going on for me? What am I hoping for? What is, what is in the cards for me, so to speak? What do I hope for, dream about? And do I believe I can have it? See, sometimes we think less of ourselves than what the universe would think of us. We think less of ourselves. So we really want to transform that so that we can get into the practice of seeing ourselves and others as perfect, whole, and complete. Yeah. See, we're created by an infinite intelligence. Of course, we're created perfect, whole, and complete. Now, we might not like what we're seeing, but that doesn't change what it is. It's just we're interpreting it from a different place, and often our interpretation is coming from the belief systems of the people that have shared their ideas with us of who they think we are, and we've believed them. And because we believe them, we get to be right. You see, if I think I can, or if I think I can't, I get to be right. Because the universe will respond to either one with a resounding yes. Yes. It's the only way it can answer. So when we're looking at our daily practice, when we're looking at the journey that we're on, when we're looking at the way that we do what we do, it's really important that we pay attention to the thought process that we have, the emotions that pop up when our thinking in some way or another is tested. It's important that we remember that we deal with absoluteness, okay? And this is the attitude we should have. What we need is to know the truth, capital T, truth. And this does not need to be active. Of course, we shall be active, but we need not compel things to happen. Ernest Holmes continued to write, "A good demonstration is made when the truth, gathering its own power, lifts one out of the environment, and until that time comes, they should stay where they are, in order that they may know when they have made a demonstration." So if there's something that you're looking at creating in your life, whether it be more wealth or a new career or a new love relationship, a new home, a new car, it doesn't matter what it is. If we can sit back within ourselves and go, yes, this is possible for me. A good demonstration is made when the truth, gathering its own power, lifts us out of this environment of doubt. And we know when we're there. We know when we feel confident, and we know when we feel like, yeah, I'm ready. We know those feelings inside of us, right? So we want to pay attention to that. He goes on to say, it is not a good demonstration if, when we give our treatments, we have to struggle just as before. You see, we should be treating, and then we should be experiencing a greater sense of ease. And if we're not, treat again. Treat again. Principle is absolute. And insofar as any individual can actually induce within consciousness, upon principle, a definite, concrete acceptance of their desire, it will manifest. It will manifest. Even if every thought on earth had to change to compel it, it will manifest. If it were a bit of information that only one person on earth knew, and they were in the center of Africa, it would be produced. See, we put conditions on stuff, don't we? Well, maybe it'll happen. I remember when I was first doing treatments, and especially way back then around money, it was like, okay, what if I don't have enough? Like, if I pay this bill and I don't have enough for that bill. And I remember when I started tithing, I was taking a prosperity class, and it was all around the idea of, increasing income and improving our lives. And as I was working on the income piece, I'd agreed in this class that I would tithe 10% of the money that came in. Well, I didn't have to worry about it too much when I signed up for the class because there was no money coming in. I could agree to give 10% of that. 10% of nothing, still nothing. So I was like, okay, let me try this and maybe I can increase my income. But as it turned out, about, I don't know, 3 weeks in, I got my first paycheck from my real estate, my real estate career. And I had taken a year off work. That's why I hadn't received this money prior to, but I got this closing of a deal and I got a good size paycheck. And I had to tithe on that because I'd made that agreement. So I wrote the check, drove down to the center, dropped it off with the treasurer, who just happened to be Reverend Sharon at the time, dropped it off and said, you might want to deposit that today to make sure it clears, that no other expenses come up. I'd been without income for a long time, and all of a sudden here I was, agreeing to give 10% of what came in. I was going to give it away. Oh no. It had me a little worried, I gotta say. I had two teenagers at home still and two teenage boys, and I don't know if you know how much they eat, but it's a lot. Those two teenage boys, and I'm thinking, gotta be able to feed them. But I wrote the tithe check anyway because I'd agreed to it. I get home and open the mailbox, and there was a check in the mailbox for exactly the amount I had written the tithe check for. Not close, I mean exact. If the tithe check was $262, then the check from the Alberta government was $262. And it was a one-off. It was a gift for, families that were in a lower income bracket. And I'm looking at that going, okay, then, I guess I'm going to agree that the universe has got my back. Deposited that check and then had to write a check for 2620. But I figured I'd be okay getting that to the center when I went to class. The journey that we're on is not about the universe being filled with lack. It's about our consciousness being filled with lack. That's all. There might be a part of us still that doesn't believe we're enough. There's a part of us still that might have a belief system. Rich people are awful people. Well, if we believe that, then surely we're not going to manifest, because do we want to think of ourselves as awful? Probably not. So what is it that you think about? What do you think about when an unexpected expense comes in? Do you sit back and go, yay, unexpected income is on its way? Or do you go, oh man, and stuff it in a drawer and quickly close it in the hopes that it won't find you? Believe me, it will. One thing I know about bill collectors is they're quite quick about sending out reminders, or not necessarily knocking on your door, but ringing your phone constantly or whatever. So what we want to do is shift our thinking and redefine what prosperity is. It's not just about money. It's about, do I feel good about my life? Do I feel good about where I am? Am I joyful? Am I happy in my existence? Because true prosperity is a place of love and joy, a place of possibility and opportunity. It's a knowing that all is well, regardless of what's out here. There's a place in my heart where I know, where that light shines so bright that I just know all is well. No one needs to tell me, show me. I am experiencing it in the here and now. So I invite you to really take some time this week to notice what you react to, notice when you feel fearful, and then explore that fear. It's not good or bad or right or wrong, it simply is. So just be with it and get a sense of, what it means to you or what it's telling you about what you believe. And then check in. Are you ready to shift that belief? Are you ready? Because shifting a belief is as easy as changing a sweater. It just requires intention. I intend to live a glorious, beautiful, fabulous, prosperous life in all areas. And for that, I'm deeply grateful. Yeah, we have that within us. The journey we're on is a journey without a destination. And we're here to live it. Not to have all good days, but to live fully with whatever's going on. To do it with passion and purpose, and to uplift ourselves and those around us. If we're doing that, we're doing good. We're doing very good. We're doing very good. Remember, principle is absolute. Principle is absolute. Principle is absolute. Remind yourself of that day by day and moment by moment, and then go, all is well. Thank you. Well, it's that time in our service now when we get to share in our abundance. We receive a blessing, we give a blessing, we invite you to participate at whatever level is comfortable for you. And I invite you to join in reading the abundance affirmation. Together, please. As I give, so I receive. My good now flows to me in a steady, unbroken, ever-increasing stream of success, happiness, and abundance. I am blessed. Blessings abound for all life everywhere. I am grateful. And of course, there are a number of different ways you can give at the Universal Joy Center. And of course, all donations are tax deductible. So we do send out receipts every February. So you can, save a little bit of tax dollars. So there's a number of ways you can give. You can scan the QR code that's on the screen, and that will take you right to our giving place. You can send an e-transfer to admin@ujoyc.ca. You can click donate on the website, or you can mail a check if the mail is running to the Universal Joy Center, 28 Sir Raymond Drive, Toronto, M1E1C